What is up, you sexy beasts? Welcome to this very first episode of Storytime. My guest today is my favorite athlete in the world, hands down. I say that about all my guests, but today I do really mean it, Mr. James Newbury. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
So good, man. Doing really well. Thanks so much for jumping in. You're the very first guest on the Storytime segment, so pumped to have you.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm privileged to be number one.
Cool, man. I'm excited to hear the story. So just for those watching, I have no idea what James is telling today. I just kind of asked him to bring a story to us that we can enjoy and listen to. It can be anything. So yeah, man, take it away. Story time of James.
So, well, I've got tons of cool stories, or that I think cooler anyway, but I've got, I kind of wanted to maybe elaborate a little bit on my very first experience making it to the CrossFit Games back in 2016.
Yeah, awesome.
So I wanted to kind of talk about what that felt like and the lead up to that, and also, how many times I tried to make it to the games prior to that, like being disappointed, coming very close, getting injured, and then, finally making a rookie debut at the games in 2016, and kind of how that made me feel, and the feeling of having a goal, like a big goal, finally being achieved. So I guess I'll just I'll take it back a little bit, and I'll give people a bit of insight onto what I did prior to jumping into CrossFit, a little bit of history about the lead up to it, and the training that it took to finally crack it and make it there.
Yes, please.
And I get asked a lot, and in particular, is like, oh, what exactly do I have to do to, I guess, make it to that, top 1%? And I usually let people know that, it wasn't just a flick of the switch kind of moment to, turn the training on to a different level. It was like years and years of other sports that kind of led into being better, or adapting more to making it to the CrossFit Games. Like I played like low level soccer and then medium level athletics, and then reasonably high level football for the better part of 20 years. So I think having a lead in like that really, really helped, like developed a lot of skills. I was working on a lot of endurance, a lot of stamina, a lot of strength prior to even knowing what CrossFit was about or knowing what functional fitness was. In the beginning, I thought I was reasonably fit, tried to work out, mashed it all together, and was humbled greatly. And then, I just fell in love with the aspect of, how much you put in, you kind of get out. So the more you wanted to train and the more you enjoyed the process and the more you committed to the journey, I guess you could call it, the better results you got at competition. And that showed very quickly. Whereas getting picked in a team, like with football, kind of came down to someone else's personal opinion on how you performed or how you feel you're going or how well you gel with another person in the team. So for me, I played football for 10 years, and then I kicked up and started doing CrossFit in my final year as a pre-season get fit type routine. And then from there, I basically competed in the very first Open in 2011. Absolutely loved it. Loved the push, loved the challenge, enjoyed that you could be competitive with someone that isn't even, training at your own gym, and there was a workout that you could do, and people would also do that somewhere else, and then you could compare scores. That really intrigued me a lot. I guess the competition side of it. And then, so that year in 2011, I placed, I want to say it was like 1,283 or something like that. And then from there, I was like, you know what, I'll give this a bit of a harder crack next year and have, 12 months to train, and fix a few skills, a few inefficiencies and things like that. And sure enough, the 2012 Open came around, did reasonably well. I came 48 out of the 60, so I made a trip over to the regionals, which was really cool and exciting. And that was actually the year I met Kayla too. So she actually came along with me, and we spent the first regionals together.
Cute.
And then during that regionals, I had a blast. I was just there for the fun of it. Like, I didn't really know too much about what the CrossFit Games was, or, you know, if it was a big thing, or I just kind of saw it as a competition that we could kind of enter and, you know, have a crack at, and ended up coming ninth overall that weekend. And after that, I was really hooked. I enjoyed the thrill of competition. I enjoyed the fact of getting close to winning events. I enjoyed the whole push of the weekend and how much everyone got around you. And that's kind of when I really fell in love with competing, doing this functional fitness thing. And then basically from there, after that weekend, I was like, that's it. I want to make it to the CrossFit Games, and I want to go to the next level. And so I kind of knuckled down with training, came back the next year, placed 11th, was really bummed that I did technically, like, position-wise, did worse than I did the year before. I was definitely much fitter, but I just, you know, I didn't pan out the way you wanted it to. And then 2014 rolled around, came back. I amped up my training a bit, did a lot more training than I'd ever done before, was doing like regular double days, and then had a really good run that weekend, ended up coming fourth by all of like 4 or 5 points. So I missed out on the spot because that year they were only taking 3. So I missed out by 1 spot and I was devastated. But I was also really happy to know that the training that I'd done had really put me in a position to really have a crack and have a run for that game spot. So, you know, things had fallen just a slightly different way. Technically could have very close to debuted in 2014, which is crazy to think about when I look back at everything. And so then basically I was like, all right, that's it. 2015 is going to be the year. I'm going to crack it. And then, 2015, the end of 2014 kind of didn't go as planned. I went to a couple of competitions. I had a fall jumping over a hurdle, and I broke my wrist. And then I also tore my patella tendon, just a lot of overuse, and I gave it a hard knock as well. So that kind of put a bit of a spanner in the works. So I wasn't able to squat a lot. I didn't end up squatting properly, like weighted squats, for like 13 months. And so then when it got time to get ready for the 2015 regionals, I was working around a few injuries that I had just from basically falling over. Man, I fall over a lot, hey. Like, now that I think about it, much all my injuries are from me falling over or coming off something. But so then 2015 regionals didn't go great. Ended up coming 13th, and I was super disappointed in that. And I was like really bummed because I felt like I made such good progress in 2014, and it all got reverted and, you know, back to square one. And then that's not really the case. All these different years, it's not like you're training 1 year for one event. It's like you put all your training together and it accumulates over the course of years to build into something better. So 2016 rolled around and I felt great, and that ended up being a fantastic weekend for me. Ended up coming second at the regionals, and that was when I finally cracked a ticket and punched one to the games. And, you know, prior to that, I would talk to Kayla regularly about, like, will I ever make it? When it's before, I remember driving down the street close to my house and talking to Kayla, like, I wonder if I will ever actually make it to the top echelon of the sport of fitness. Is it going to be a thing, or is it not going to be a thing? Like, will I get to 50 years old and never have made it to this level? Or, you know, it's just a very unknown thing. And then it finally happened, and it just felt like such a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Like, I achieved a goal that I set out to do, and, you know, I put a lot of time and effort into training and putting off going out and putting off, you know, having a lot of, you know, parties with my mates to do it. But to see something, you know, a goal turn into reality, it's a really satisfying feeling, and I think that's kind of what I strive for in day to day. When I have something comes across my mind and I really want to get it done, I usually am a bit compulsive with it. You know, whether it's, you know, renovating the gym, I'll just go hard at it until it's done, or if it's like, you know, playing around with the car and tinkering with the car until I get it done. I just want to get it finished, and I kind of want to achieve the goal. So basically, from there, I really, really wanted, one of the biggest aspects of making it to the CrossFit Games is I really wanted to experience the lead up training to the games, being able to train to be ready for this really tough competition. So basically being able just to say, every day for the next 3 months, it's just training for this event. And it's number one priority. That was what I was really looking forward to. Yes, I was looking forward to competing there and seeing how well I could do, but, being able just to train the house down for 3 months was quite exciting for me. And that's what I really love, and I've always loved, is the training aspect. So from there, the training was fantastic. I didn't think I could be any better prepared. And basically I get to the CrossFit Games, and then they spring on us like a 3 a.m. wake up and then a flight to Aromas in our first event, a 7K trail run. And I love running. And man, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I went out and I was running at a moderate pace. It wasn't a crazy pace. But it was obviously way too hot, or I didn't, prepare well enough for running that year, because running was already a fairly strong suit. So I didn't do a lot of it, and it just hit me hard. And I remember having to walk during this trail run thinking, oh, James, what have you done? You brought this on yourself. You wanted to be here, so suck it up. And then probably still to this day, that was the hardest event that I've ever had to do, just because it was something that I expected to be quite good at. And then, it got, midway in, and I just thought, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? So from there, it was just like, well, it was like a whole new level. And it made me really think, like, how much more can I kind of push myself? Leading into 2016, I thought I did everything I possibly could do. And, from there, every year since then, I've trained better, trained harder, trained longer, trained more volume, even though I thought I couldn't do any more volume. Every year has been, one up than the year prior. And this is what I like to explain to people. It's not just the 1 year of training that amounts to the result, or the end result. It's the year upon year I'm building and building. And it's, it took a good 4 years to get a result that I was pleased with at the top of the sport. But I wouldn't have been able to do that without the experience and the training load from, all the way back down to 12, like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then finally, being able to perform mentally well and physically well in 2019. So that whole experience and finally cracking the code in 2016 was a real weight off my shoulders. And, if anyone had to kind of ask me, what was like the thing that kind of got you through, I think it's just, consistency. A lot of people tend to ask me, through Instagram or whatever it may be, like what's the one tip you give to like a beginner or someone who wants to have a go at something? It's just consistency and dedication to what you want to do. And you also have to have a great team around you. If you can surround yourself with good people and have a good time, and you're happy and you're enjoying what you're doing and you're consistent, you'll do very well. I guess you have to have a little bit of, natural talent and ability in there as well in the mix. It definitely helps. But you also have to have a really strong work ethic. And, I think if people have a goal that they want to achieve, I think the best thing that they can do is be consistent and working towards something every day. And then over time, you'll figure out, whether it's 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, you'll figure out how much needs to go into it to do extremely well and to achieve that goal. Whereas I thought I could do all I possibly could in 2016 to be prepared, and I wasn't prepared as well as I could have been. And it took until 2019 to finally put the puzzle together to, have a good crack.
Yeah, wow. A couple of things. 2011.
Yeah.
I think I might have beaten you in the Open 2011. Where did you come in the world?
You probably. Sorry.
Where did you come in Australia or in the world on the Open 2011?
In Australia, I placed. I want to say, and I can look this up, but I want to say it was 1,200. I want to say 1,280 out of 2,000.
I'm gonna look. I'll look this up, and I'll put all the screenshots up of my placing and your placing, because I've got a feeling I might have got you on 2011. And then interesting, 2016, I went to the games for the first time to watch. There was a final year of the games being in California, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, so I was there for the first time as well. So classic. And I remember actually going to the hotel to see if we can somehow figure out where the athletes were going early that morning, not realizing you guys were actually going to the airport to fly somewhere.
Yeah, it was so crazy. I remember, and see, it's such a rookie thing to do in 2016. Like, I was just abiding by all the rules that everyone put in place. It's like they said, okay, guys, make sure when you come down to the lobby at 3 a.m., don't bring anything. Just bring the bare essentials, like basically just bring a backpack, bring a little bit of food, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then had people that you had veterans there that were bringing different types of shoes. They were bringing this, they were bringing that, they were bringing tons and tons of food.
Yeah.
I was so unprepared. I literally brought my backpack with one pair of like nanos or something. And then we got out to Aromas and we're doing a trail run. It's just like I had no shoes to run a trail. So I ended up borrowing a pair of shoes, had no food. All my food was done by like, less than halfway through the day.
Yeah.
So super underprepared. Like I just wasn't ready for it. And there were so many things you can learn from it. And, it just takes time and experience. And, one of the goals that I had after making the games, like my big goal was to make it there. And then after that, my next goal was I had two goals. One was to give my best effort every single event. And the goal after that, and this is probably one of the most important things for me, that, kind of made me, satisfied with where I've gotten to. And not satisfied, I'm always going to strive for more no matter what it is. I'm always going to, be competitive. I think that's just in my nature, and no matter what I do. But I wanted to go away from a competition, like the CrossFit Games, and I wanted to have more good experiences than, letdown experiences or bad experiences. I can't say they were bad experiences, but like I walked away from 16, 17 and 18 and I had more disappointing feelings about my placing and effort rather than good ones. Whereas 2019, I walked away from every event and I thought, I really feel like my result reflected my effort and the training reflected that as well. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to feel like all the effort that I'd put in actually amounted to a result that I felt like I may have been deserving of. And it's like, sometimes you can give it your 100% go and then you just come up, last place. Sometimes that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But, I really wanted to have the feeling of, I've trained so hard. I'm going to put in all my effort I can, and then I'm going to get some really good finishes. And it worked out that way. And, that's a very satisfying feeling. And as I said, that really just comes down to consistency. And some people can be, top of the tree within a year or two. And some people it takes a little bit longer. It's just that you have to wait for your time and you just have to be consistent and be persistent there. Yeah,
for sure. That's awesome, man. So good to hear that story. It's so easy to just take a snapshot of like the 2019 games. Someone sees you there coming fifth. It was fifth, right? It's so easy to look at that. Yeah, so easy to look at that and not, not take into account the, what's under the water. We see the tip of the iceberg and we don't see all the years of hard work and disappointment to get to that point. So that's really cool to hear that journey. I wanted to ask you about your dogs. Could you tell us? Yeah. Because I know you love your dogs, and I know a lot of the other athletes that I've got coming up all have animals and dogs that they love. Would you mind telling us about your two sausage dogs, or whatever they call? Yeah.
Sausage dogs, dash hounds.
That's it.
Yeah. So I have, along with Kayla, we have two dash hounds. We have Pippi and we have Mr. Nilsson. They're both 4 years old. We got them back in, I want to say it was 2016. The end of 2016. They're absolutely adorable. They literally put a smile on my face every single day. They have such different personalities. Pippi is, she's crazy barker when people knock on the door, always wants her ball to be thrown, quite like a mother figure to either the cats that we foster or to Mr. Nilsson. But Mr. Nilsson, he's like the complete opposite. He, will sleep on the couch, not even come to the bedroom of a night time. Pippi's always in the bed. Mr. Nilsson will be like Lone Ranger on the couch. He has these big, beautiful eyes. He's a chalk and tan, and Pippi's a black and tan. And they just they're best of friends. They're really cool, and they get along with our foster cats like nothing else. Absolutely love them. If the foster cats are with us for more than 4 weeks, they end up like cuddling up together and sleeping together, and they're fantastic. But yeah, our little dash hounds, they're great. They're Pibby weighs about 5.3 kilos fully grown, and Mr. Nelson's about 5.9 kilos fully grown. So they're still pretty small. Basically, by the time the cats are of an adult age, they're just as big, if not bigger, than the dog.
That's awesome. I love watching Kayla's stories of the cats because we just got a new kitten, so it's quite cool to see all your foster cats around as well.
Your kitten is so cute, man.
yeah, she's a cutie, Misty. I love it. Awesome, man. Well, that was great. What a great episode for the first one. So, yeah, man, really appreciate your time and giving us a bit of an insight into your journey and your story. So, yeah.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Awesome, man. Well, have a great day, and we'll catch up soon.
Great. Thanks, Wykie.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. Talk soon.
Bye.